Vaughn,
And I'm Leela Hilton.
and this is Burn Before Reading, a podcast about shiterature.
Here we are to discuss the terrible writing we did when we were younger and to discuss some cringy literary and nostalgic topics right along the way.
With us today is Brittany Rhodes, founder of Black Girl MATHgic and Math Equals Me. Thank you so much for joining us, Brittany.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. So, Brittany, are you ever a Brit?
That is my nickname, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of people call me Britt.
Okay, noted. Well, first of all, what pronouns do you use?
She, her, hers.
Perfect. Thanks
Got
so
it.
much. Tell the listeners a little bit about what you do.
So I am a mathpreneur. That's what I call myself. I am an entrepreneur slash solopreneur who is working really hard to help our country in particular not be so scared of math. And so the way that I do that is through my businesses. So Black Girl MATHgic is my original brand that I started in 2019, and Math Equals Me I started in 2024. And through both of my businesses or brands, because they're very much related, I curate math confidence kits for kindergarten through eighth grade. I also do professional development for educators. So that is
Mm.
basically helping teachers and other professionals who work with students unpack their own math anxiety so that they don't pass it along to their students, because that
Mm-hmm.
is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also do student workshops that are based in real world math so that kids can see how math connects to their everyday lives, lived experiences, and social realities.
That's awesome. Honestly, what you do is so cool and important. And I think that Leela and I can both really, I don't know, I feel like we have authority as grown former anxious math children to say, like, what you're doing is so awesome and important. Leela, would you agree? Anxious
Yeah,
math child?
yes, when you were a lot of what you were talking about, I was like, "Oh my God, I wish that had existed for me for little Lilo when she was crying during her math tests."
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, and honestly, Leela, something for you to think about since you're pregnant. You don't want to pass it along.
You're so
You're
right.
pregnant,
I
Leela.
am I am with child, with female child.
With
With the
female
So,
girl
child.
child. Yes, very
yes.
important. Very important for her
Yeah,
not to be scared of math.
I'd love
Yeah.
to break this tradition of every of me and my husband are creatives, which is great in a lot of ways, but we're not, let's just say we're not like STEM people. I would love to have a little daughter who's a little daughter in STEM. I'm gonna dream big.
Yeah,
So
dream big.
why not? So I know what to hook her up with now.
I'll be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of my biggest regrets is how afraid of math I was because I think it really limited my like career options when I got to college.
hmm
Because I just like was not willing to explore math and like I regret that deeply. I wish I had like a better career.
And that's what I say when I talk about the implications of math anxiety. I mean, sure, we want, as parents, or if you have young people in your life, you're an aunt and uncle, a grandma, grandpa. Obviously, you want your kid to do well in school. You want them to do well and excel in their subjects. But math is so much more than just it doesn't stop at school, right? It does pour into your career options, even your earning potential. There's
Hmm.
all kind of studies I've read just about the ways that math anxiety, the implications that it has beyond just math grades, or things that we traditionally attribute to mathematics.
Hmm.
So that is why I started my business. For much of the sentiments both of you shared, is because I don't want this generation, and I always forget which generation we're in right now. Is it Gen Alpha? I
I think
don't
it's Gen
know.
Yeah.
Alpha.
Is
Yeah.
it? I don't know, because I have a 4-year-old. I'm like, I had to Google, like, what is her generation called, and I don't even remember what is that. Is she Gen Alpha too?
I think
If
so.
you're 4 years old,
I'll
okay.
Google it.
So
Fact check.
I don't want this generation that is coming up right now to grow up saying I am not a math person. I think that
Yeah.
the world we're in now, as one of you already mentioned, very driven by STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We're having a lot of conversations about AI, both good and bad, and
Hmm.
everything in between. All of that is fueled by mathematics. And so, in order for our children to be able to access those career paths and exposure to various careers, just to have, and for me, it's really about them having options, right? Like, and you just
Yeah.
said that, Christina. Even if you don't end up going into a traditional STEM career, you still need math to do other things. What if you want to be an architect?
Yeah.
What if
Mm.
you want to be a business person, an entrepreneur? It's a lot of math in this, and and I'm doing this even though my business is focused on helping kids with math. Like, there's math I'm doing separate from that is required to run the business. I have
Yeah.
physical kits, right? They're dimensions. I have to like know how much my shipping costs and all of these other things, that go into
Yeah.
running a business. So there's so many careers and just options that are available to our kids when they have a strong foundation in basic math. And that's what I always stress too. Like, I'm not talking about differential equations. I'm not talking
Ugh,
about calculus
triggered.
3.
Triggered.
I'm talking about fractions. I know those almost killed me in college. I'm talking about fractions,
Okay.
decimals, negative numbers, the
Yes.
things that we're
I'm with
learning
you.
roughly between kindergarten and eighth grade, which is why my kids are focused on that particular grade level, those grade levels. That is the math we need for life. And that
Mm.
is a life skill, just like baking, cooking,
Yeah.
washing clothes. Basic math falls
Okay.
in that
And
category as well.
baking takes a lot of basic math.
It's
Very true.
true. And that's
Yeah.
why I've always said like I'm a much better cook than I am a baker
That
because
makes sense, Leela.
I cook with my heart and you really can't bake with your heart and like things just don't really turn out right when
You
that
have to be
happens.
so good. Like you have to be so on.
Yeah,
You
you
have
have to
to
be
be
like
such a good baker.
Great British Bake Off good to be able to be like I know the
Um,
measurements and I'm using my heart, you
but
know?
even they
Yeah.
have like really strict recipes that they're following.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into like English, which my dad's generation, my dad was always like, you can do anything with an English degree, which was so true in like 1987. Now it's like the opposite. It's like you're not qualified to do anything. And so I don't make enough money, so I use so much math in my personal budget spreadsheet. I'm like, all right, where's the money going? We got to figure it out. So you can't escape math, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the wrong attitude. You can't escape math, so embrace it.
That's why I'm
Wow.
in. That is exactly why I started my business, Christina. Don't worry, because I've heard it all. Because I
I'm
ask
sure you
when I'm
have.
working with young people, that is part of our introductions. Because I work primarily in the out of school time space, so I am not a traditional classroom teacher.
Hmm.
So when I work with students, it may be, with the Girl Scouts, and I'm doing a workshop, or it may be going to a school for 1 month out of the, or every month for a few months. And so the way that I build relationships is we start with, what is your name? What grade are you in? And
Hmm.
then what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word math? That is
Yeah.
and I ask young people to be, I said, don't curse, obviously, but like, be honest,
Yeah.
And so they're very honest, So
And kids say the
I've
darndest
heard some
things.
things.
Yeah. I have so many memories of my mom or dad just
Hmm.
unskilled, trying to just like get me to understand a math problem and me just crying and
Yeah,
them just being so frustrated and
definitely. Raise your
it's
hand if
tough.
you've ever cried over math homework.
Ugh, so much.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
I
It
think
just
we've all
is
been
this
there.
way. Like if I can write an essay, I'm like, I can finagle this. You can't finagle a math equation.
It's
You
a
need to
different
figure it out.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
I forgot I pulled this up, but yes, Brittany, your child is Gen Alpha. Leela, yours is going to be Gen Beta.
Oh my
Mm.
God. Wow.
Mm.
Yep.
That tracks
Okay.
for me, to be honest with you. So,
Yes, that's so true.
Fun fact, didn't know for sure.
Brittany, some people might be wondering, regular listeners of this podcast are probably wondering how we got in touch with someone who is in like elementary, middle school, like math education, you might seem like kind of a random connection for us on the podcast. So I just wanted to tell everyone how I discovered you. I listen to this podcast called Her First 100K, which is like a feminist financial podcast, basically financial skills. That kind of is like Leela, I spent some time really telling you about this podcast because it meets you where you're at if where you're at is like you don't know anything about finances. Like
Okay, great.
Yeah.
it really is such a good place to start. And the host Tori interviewed you, Brittany, about your product and about your business, and I was like, well, first of all, you seemed so chill and friendly, and I was like, 10 out of 10.
Oh,
I
thanks.
I love when I'm like, I want this person to come on my podcast, and I've already heard them be on a podcast, so I'm like, well, this person knows how to talk, so that's great. Um,
Yeah,
I
bare
definitely,
minimum.
I definitely thought it would be interesting for us to talk a little bit about like, yeah, like school age math anxiety, since that it would be hard for that to come up, I think, organically on the podcast, since we like inherently are covering writing. Um, but I don't even remember how it came up. I should have re-listened to your episode today, but you mentioned on that episode that you have writing from when you were a kid, and I'm always listening. So many people have writing from when they're kids. You just gotta find them. So I'm always listening, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna email her." So I'm really
And here we
glad that we
are.
found you.
Me too. Yes. So a couple things. And Leela, I think you already said it. It's okay though. Chris, one, I think, no, Christine, who said, no, it was you, Leela. Somebody just said the mind brain is real, just so we're all clear. The mind brain is the serious business.
Leela's already there.
Yep.
So the sentiment I hear a lot, especially from women, one of y'all just said it. Forgive me because I forgot already
It's
who said it.
okay.
That you have to choose between being sciency and like mathematically inclined versus
Mhm.
being more into the humanities and the liberal arts.
Yeah,
And so
it
you didn't
Mhm.
quite say it that way.
but it
But
does like feel that way when you're like picking electives in school and stuff. It
the
can
world
feel that
steers you
way.
that way for
Mhm.
sure. It absolutely, and and you know, our parents mean well, but our parents, pop culture, mainstream media, you know, math is vilified from so many different angles, and so that does become the narrative. And we've had when I'm at events or even when I meet people out in the wild and they find out the work that I do, it's almost like they feel like they have to justify to me why they felt like they weren't a math person. Oh, I was more into the
Mm,
arts. I was more into creative writing. And
Yeah.
so what I say to people is who told you that you had to choose?
Yeah.
And the
uh-huh.
example that I
Totally.
use is myself, particularly when I say this to adults, but particularly when I'm talking to young people, because I need you to see a real life example, not somebody who's just making this up. I loved reading and writing growing up. I
Mhm.
won an award in the sixth grade because I read the most books in like for the
Wow.
school year.
That's a
Like I think I
huge
read like
brag.
51 books.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
god. That's
I read
awesome.
like 51 books in sixth grade, and it was like the most prolific reader award or something like that.
Wow.
And
Cool.
in high school, I was on the yearbook staff for 2 years. I was on the newspaper staff, and I even did a summer program at Central Michigan University, which is a little ways away from Detroit, but not far. I'm born and raised in Detroit, and this is where I live now. But for folks who are from Michigan, like Central Michigan University is where you go
Yeah.
to do journalism. And while I was in the yearbook on the yearbook staff, I was also in AP Calculus. And so
Mhm.
what I like to encourage young people to think is that I can do both of these at the same time. And I'm not unique. I know so many other people, not just women, you know, who also have tapped into both sides. And I say to my young people, like our brains can do a lot of things at
Mhm.
the same
Yeah.
time. Like we can hold two things can be true, which of course comes from math probability, but like two things can be true. Being into the arts is not does not exclude you from being into the sciences. And in fact, I'm watching this now with my 4-year-old. When we start drawing as children, when we're learning how to draw, when we're little bitty kids like my baby girl is, what are we usually drawing?
Like people, right? How
Nature,
Before we
pro
start drawing people.
oh, house, a house, a
like
sun.
shapes.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
Shapes.
geometry.
Shapes. Yes, she's drawing circles.
Yeah.
Mommy, look at this triangle. Mommy, look at this trapezoid. So that is the early connection, and that's like as simple as I can make it. And there's
Hmm.
other connections there too, but that's like one of the most simplified ways to show people how the arts and the sciences, particularly mathematics, are connected. I'm like, there's so much math and art. There's so much art and math, and that's just one example. And so I probably talked about that on the podcast, but another thing that I did when I started my business, so my kits again are designed to help children build math confidence. Part of that is reading about people who do math for a living or who have math backgrounds and have really cool careers. So in my every single kit, there's a workbook. All my kits are based on a real world theme. That could be fashion, it could be real estate, it could be football, basketball. We've done like 50 or 60 different kits at this point. So a lot of different themes. They have to read about the mathematician in every single kit. So we're reading. And then at the end, I have a writing and reflection exercise, a writing
Mm.
reflection exercise at the end of each of my workbooks. The reason why I did that is because the avenue on which I came to do my business, or kind of like, where did this come from? Well, number one, I've loved math my whole life. My bachelor's degree is in mathematics. I started tutoring when I was 17. I started tutoring other college students in math my freshman or sophomore year at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. And then that transitioned to me tutoring children, which I still do to this day. Although my business is not a tutoring business, the tutoring work that I've done, for over, 20 years at this point, informed how I decided to create that I needed to create my business.
Hmm.
But the reason why I bring that up is because there have been several instances with different students where they were mad when they had a homework assignment in math class where they had to read and write. They're like, Miss Brittany, this is math. Why are we reading?
They're like,
Why
I
are we
already did
writing?
this in English and
We did,
history.
yeah. Well, this is not ELA. Like, what are we doing? And so I'm telling them, if you can take mathematical and scientific ideas and translate them into words,
Hmm.
you can write your own ticket, because a lot of people can't do that. There's this
Yeah.
running stereotypical joke about like how engineers can't communicate
Mm.
verbal or written, that kind of thing. It's not a skill that they're necessarily required to develop.
Yeah.
So if you decide that you want to take this seriously in whatever career you may end up in when you grow up, when you go off to college, or whatever it is you decide to do, and some of the mathematicians I featured in my kids, a couple of them have dual degrees in English and math. And so again, I'm using them as an example. Like, look at so and so who's like 35, 40 years old. They're not old. They're still kind of hip and young and fun. And
Hmm.
look at this example of this person who has an English degree and a math degree. And now look at her career. One of the mathematicians we feature who has both degrees, she's a librarian.
Ugh,
Like,
that's
she
so
went
cool.
on and got her master's in like library sciences, and she's a librarian. And then that goes into a conversation about how math is used in the library,
Yeah.
particularly with what we think about the most is the Dewey Decimal System. I'm like, the way they archive and store and organize books in the library is with decimals, So
Yeah.
I'm always looking for ways to make the connections really clear for my students, that math is in everything and that you really don't have to pick. Like, you can
Yeah.
do it all.
Totally. I also feel like there's this like false idea, like when you're in like late high school, early college, and you're trying to figure out like what you want to major in. I feel like people are often, students are often encouraged to like go toward what they enjoy and what they're good at. So like I went toward an English degree because I was like, I'm a good reader, I'm a good writer. But the flip side of that is that I was already a good reader and writer. Like I didn't necessarily have to be educated in that to like enjoy it and do it well. Like I could have picked
Mm.
something else. I always it's the exact same thing as I always remember this one year I had to take a history class and they were like you can take African, Asian, or European or South American history. And I was like, I'm gonna take European because that'll be the easiest because I already know so much of it. And I've
Hmm.
always regretted that because I'm like, I didn't learn anything new in that class. God damn it. But I feel like school, so much of it, you're like, I'm just trying to get through this as easy as possible. So I'm gonna take the stuff that like is easy for me, and it just sucks. I hope kids these
I
days
mean,
get
but
like
you were a
better
kid, right? And that's
counselors.
like where exposure we have to expose our children as adults, and whether that's a parent or a teacher or whoever, anybody who is helping a child come into their own, they have to be exposed. So if I'm not exposed to something, how do I even know it's an option?
Yeah. Yep,
That's true.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that the key there is like exposing kids to math in a fun way, not in like a prison of homework
Yeah.
way. I just kind of like don't fuck with homework, like
That's a whole
conceptually.
nother conversation. Homework is very controversial these days.
I am
Really?
sure it is. My friend, our friend Anna, who's a teacher, doesn't assign homework,
Oh,
but
Yeah,
that's
some
that's a
teachers
little
interesting.
don't.
different.
It's like become an equity issue in some
Yeah, well,
circles.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. She teaches at a city
Hmm.
school, and for a lot of those kids, it's like good enough for them to just get the work done in class. She's like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
ask them for more. Yeah,
And so many kids are unfortunately using AI to do homework at home. So it's like you
Ugh.
can't even really gauge what they learned for real.
yeah,
So a lot of teachers are like, oh, they're gonna do it here in class with pencil and paper.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think holding a pen and paper in your hand is good for you, which is a segue. It's a segue to our
Math
piece that we're going
is
to cover today.
math
Oh,
is and then we have a visitor.
oh
Mommy can't do
my
that
God, all
today, but I'm gonna
children.
do it this week, okay?
The one thing that
Is
unites
that
all
okay?
children.
Okay, can you let
Chicken
mommy
nuggets.
finish talking on her podcast recording? Thank you, big girl. Do you want to say hi to Miss Christina and Mrs. Layla?
Tell
Hi.
her we say
Her
hi.
name is Zendaya, like the actress.
Ooh, that's
Zendaya.
Zendaya,
fast.
Beautiful
Zen for
name.
short. Don't lose mommy's Apple Pen. Thank you. Okay, go ahead and close the door. Here, take this with you. Thank you. Look, as I hand her the iPad. As we're talking about screens.
Hey,
Um,
you got to do what you got to do. That
every now
Yeah.
and
No
what
then
I
I'm
heard
judgment.
like,
is
girl, go ahead and take it.
yeah, what I heard is screen time is a-okay as long as you're real with yourself that it's for you, not for them, you know?
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, that is the thing, that there are studies too that show that math is better retained when it's done on pen and paper.
Yeah, that makes
Interesting.
Yeah.
sense. Cuz
Yeah.
cuz like I feel like anything's better retained when you like write it down, Like
a
that's how
hundred percent.
I used to study for tests by like just going through my textbook and like rewriting my notes cuz I would like the
Oh,
process of
yeah.
writing
That's how
it.
you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
used to do that too. I totally forgot about that. That's like something I would never even consider now. Isn't that crazy?
You're like
I
I'm
know.
reading it and it's not sticking.
What do I do?
Well, and also because reading nonfiction, at least for me, is like not interesting, even if the subject matter is interesting. So writing it down helps keep me engaged too. It's really
Yeah.
easy to just kind of like start skimming and you're like not really picking up what you're
You're
supposed to
like, what?
be.
You go back and reread it like three different times. Like, what did
Yes.
I just?
Yeah.
What just happened?
So, are we ready to get into the piece of the day?
We
The
are
piece de
ready.
Yes.
resistance.
I'm ready to be
Um,
roasted.
so Brittany, you have a hard copy in your very hands. Is that correct?
I do.
Oh my God. I have a scan of it that I'm going to share so that Leela and I can read along. Because we can't hear without reading. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Am I sharing the right window?
There it is. That is
Yes.
hilarious.
Let
I cannot.
me just we can
Enhance.
enhance. I did the thing, Leela. I remembered to download it this time because
Oh, okay.
usually when I open it in the email and then I hit zoom and it doesn't zoom. Okay.
That looks great.
So, Brittany, why don't you just read this through if
Okay.
you would do us a favor if there's any misspellings or errors, if you could just read it as true to what is written here as possible. Although it looks like everything's spelled pretty good.
Yeah.
I was very nerdy. Let's just get it all out on the table. I love spelling and vocabulary words too. So there's that. I was raised by an educator though. My mother was a principal not long after I finished middle school. She became a principal when I was in the ninth grade, and she is a career educator.
Oh,
So
Okay.
very
it's
much an
nice.
influence on
Yeah,
me.
it's nice and a lot of pressure to have an
I was gonna
educator.
say,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Whenever you're
You ready
ready,
for me to start reading? All
take
We're
right,
it
here we
ready.
away.
go. Dear God, hello. I made it. I made it. I made it through the sixth grade. Yes. Thank you, Jesus. Dear Lord, thank you for the high level brain you given. And I'm not even a nerd. That's really that's, that's really great. Dear God, please let me start to have more interesting phone conversations. Please let my conversations be filled with laughter, joy, and gossip, not bad gossip. Lindsay and I are good friends now, and that's thanks to you. Please let it continue to be like that. Dear God, when I call Lindsay or someone calls me, please let the conversations be nice and talkative. Thanks for the 4.0, smiley face. Please forgive me for all of my sins and those who sinned against me. You are so wonderful, Lord. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Oh my God. This might be the cutest religious text I've ever read in my life.
It's true.
Hilarious.
Before we go one step further, I just want to ask a clarifying question. Brittany, do you still identify today as religious?
Yes, I identify as Christian.
Okay, that's
Yes.
important context.
Yes.
Um, this is not the first religious religious piece we've covered on the show. Leila, you want
Religious
to
text.
Leila, you want to give a brief history of 24/7?
Yeah, yeah, just really quickly because I'm sure the listeners are tired of hearing about it. That in middle school I was somewhat of a local legend
Wait,
with huh?
wait, sorry, go on.
Okay, with many youth groups around the Richmond, Virginia area, because I was in a pop punk Christian band. It was called 24/7, just like God's love, of course. And and I have uh, I have a lot of analog data. I have a
CDs,
couple albums.
CDs.
Yeah, I have some CDs. I don't know why I said it
Love
so weird.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
Leila, the episode where we covered The Skin That I'm In by
uh
24/7, the episode title was I was big with local youth groups.
There you go. And then there's another episode title that I was just thinking of that's what is it, like, extremely stubborn and very bad at music theory,
That's it, baby.
which talk about math, just putting it all together. I actually quit being a music major
Oh
because
yeah.
of I had a terrible professor who that you had there was only like one music theory professor at my small school, and he was like the kind that makes you buy his own textbook and says that like learning tricks and tips is like cheating. And so if you
Mm.
were either like learned it his way or you were bad at music theory. So I like he
Okay.
would show up to office hours and ask for help, and he'd be like, you either know it or you don't. And I'm like, so why do we even have office hours?
Yeah, that
That
sucks.
type
Right.
of
That
that
person
type
should
of
not be an
professor.
educator.
Yeah, well, if you when you get tenured, you kind of get a little cocky
Yeah,
sometimes from what I
Hmm.
hear.
really
Um,
should.
but yeah, so that's my background. So we've brought several Christian texts, as Christina said,
We
onto the
also
Yes.
podcast.
we also had that episode called I Wasn't Even Attracted to Jesus with author Nora Thomas about
What was that
about
about?
one of your songs, but she
Oh,
came on to talk about how she went from like being I think more fundamentalist Christian as a child. She was raised to believe that fiction was sinful because it was a lie.
that's intense.
Yeah,
Mm.
so we
Yeah,
talked about
that's
that.
intense. Interesting.
So I'm actually like really into this like joyful, dear God, letter from you, Brittany. Tell us a little bit. So this was after sixth grade. Tell us a little bit about like the kind of person you were in like the maybe the summer after sixth grade.
Yeah, there's a lot actually to unpack here
You weren't
with
even a
Okay.
with
nerd.
with what I was writing. A few things. So I am an only child. And
Okay.
so that mean I'm your stereotypical only child. And this I'm not a brat because my mother was really big on that. She was
Okay.
like, I am not raising a bratty child. So not that
I
part,
was like, bless
that
her
kind
for
of
that.
like stereotype about only children. I am on the other end of the spectrum where I had an intense need and desire to be liked and accepted
Mm-hmm.
because I was an only child. And
Mm.
so in sixth grade, I hit my growth spurt. So I think I went from like 4'11" to like 5'7". I'm 5'10", so I'm pretty tall.
Oh, that's a
Okay.
huge growth spurt in a small amount of
Yes,
time.
yes,
Ouchies
yes.
for your bones.
Ouchie for my bones and my self-esteem, okay? Because middle school
Oh.
is not the place to be having, as a girl,
Oh.
Yeah,
right? To have a growth spurt. And I was
I
not
feel you.
athletically inclined either. I
Oh my
tried
God.
basketball because
I'm
everybody says
sure
when you're tall,
you
you should
should
Okay.
play
play
I
basketball.
basketball.
I
I was
Yeah.
feel
not
you
good at
so much.
it.
I'm 5'9". I became 5'9" in eighth grade, and the number of times I'm so clumsy, I'm so unathletic. The number of times people have asked me if I play basketball is crazy. It's the kind of thing where I'm like, I get why you're asking that, but no, like that's so far from what I do.
Yeah. Hashtag not all tall girls. Okay.
No, I did play volleyball in high school, and that is, I wished I would have started playing volleyball in middle school,
Okay.
because I think that was a better fit for me. So there was a lot happening in sixth grade, and then I was also, I laughed in this letter because I said I'm not even a nerd, and then a few
So
sentences
funny.
down it said thanks for the 4.0.
I noticed that.
The
Yeah.
contradiction. So I was like, look at this contradiction here. But back then, right, it was not cool. This was the 90s, right? It was like it was not
Yes.
acceptable to be a nerd, but I was
a,
very
a
very
nerd
book smart.
a nerd was more about like the kind of people you hung out with and like
Right.
your vibe more than like
Yeah.
your grades or anything,
Hmm.
which is so
So I
interesting.
was trying not to align with that identity, even though I had a 4.0. Like, what are we talking about? So, only child, intense need to be liked, very much a people pleaser, something I had to unlearn as an adult,
Hmm.
and had this growth spurt, and then also was really book smart. So, I was definitely teased, bullied, all of those things. And so Lindsay, who I mentioned in here, I'm laughing because Lindsay and I are still friends, and I cannot wait.
Yay! Oh my God. Wait,
I cannot wait
God
to show this to
granted
her.
you God granted you your prayer because you said please let it continue to be like that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're
Yay.
not like extremely close, but we still have a very solid friendship. And
Ugh,
then
I
she's
love that.
also in education, and not in math education, but she's a former principal, and so she
Oh.
has since transitioned to consulting and helping teachers, and training like teachers and principals and that kind of thing. So she and I have these monthly accountability calls where we
Ah,
kind of check in with each other on where we are in business and share resources and just keep each other uplifted and engaged.
oh
And
my
it's
I
God,
funny
that's
love
because the
that.
awesome.
school that she was principal at before she transitioned out of being a principal, it was in Detroit, our public schools all like are built very similarly. So like the middle schools kind of all look kind of the same. The elementary schools kind of, well, back in the day, it's a little bit different now. But the point I'm making is the school she was at was an elementary school, or excuse me, a middle school, and it looked just like our middle school, but it wasn't. It was in a different building,
Hmm.
different part of town, not far from where our school was. Our school is no longer. They tore it down, I think last year, the year before. But
Oh.
I remember, I know it was sad. I remember visiting her when she was principal. I was there for like a panel or something, and then she also let me have a table for my business at one point. And I was like, this looks just like our middle school. Like, so it was this full circle type moment. So yes, we
Aw,
still are friends, still in
that's awesome.
touch. Um, but I wanted to be liked so bad, and that put me in positions, that I should not anything crazy, nothing illegal, just allowing people to say things about me that,
Yeah.
at my age, at 41 now, like would never suffice, or just letting
Yeah.
Sure.
people treat me a certain way just so that I could be accepted or be liked. And Lindsay was very popular, and I wanted to be her friend. And um I also at this time was doing more. It was kind of starting up, where we were calling each other on the phone. And I remember asking my mom, like, so what do you talk about when you're on the phone with somebody? Like, what is
Oh.
what do you do? Like, what is the conversation? And I was a very literal child. I think that's part of the reason why math was my favorite subject, because math was like very literal and very like step
Yeah.
oriented, and it was like follow these steps and you'll get the and so it was like it really worked for my brain. So I remember writing out topics so that I could be ready when the phone rang. Like, okay, so I can talk about this. I didn't want it to be like any
Ugh, that's
pregnant
so
pauses or
funny.
like awkward moments.
That's
And I
more than we do
laugh
for
at
this
that so much
podcast.
now. This is hilarious. What'd you say?
That's more than we do for this podcast. Like you're so charming.
But of course, like as you develop the skill of like conversing and
Yes.
conversation, I mean
Yeah.
now obviously I don't need a script, but back then I was like, I
Well,
need some guidance.
that's something about being like around 12 years old is it is really such an interesting time because being a teenager is all about experimenting with identity and starting to figure out who you are. And I feel like sixth grade, seventh grade is right around when you start realizing that you can do that. You're
Hmm.
like, you're just like barely taking, like tipping your little tiptoes into the waters of like exploring your identity and what kind of person you want to be and trying to take agency over stuff. So I love that you seem very proactive about it.
It was like it was I mean, yes, I think proactive is a really good way to look at it, but there was also some fear in there.
Yeah. I mean I
Hmm.
definitely relate to that. Just yeah, I that's maybe like the beginning stages of exploring identity is like looking around at what other people are doing and trying to like emulate and be like I want to be liked and popular and like well dressed
Hmm.
like this person. How can I like change myself to be more like that person? And then you do that and you're like, this isn't actually right for me
Not
maybe.
quite. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I love about this letter, and y'all, if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out because it's just really cute to look at. I identify so much with this handwriting.
I was gonna say this handwriting is like it's giving like popular girl handwriting.
It's like it. This handwriting was intentionally crafted, and
Yes.
and I know that because I did the exact same thing.
Okay, so there's more to that. So
Oh,
in addition to being only child, uh, very book smart, very nerdy, very tall, only child under that umbrella of stereotypical only child, but not bratty,
hmm.
perfectionist.
Okay, yeah,
So
that
when
makes
I was
sense.
learning handwriting, it was like extreme to the
Yeah.
point that my mother sometimes would be like, "Okay, we're gonna put this up and we're gonna work on this later because if the S, when you're learning how to write S and it's like going off the line,
Yeah.
if the S went off the line too much, I was like having a meltdown. I
That's
was
so
like,
sweet.
why can't I get this S to stay on the line? So it was and that's something my mother worked really hard with me on. I joke now and say I'm a recovering perfectionist. Um, Everything just had to be right. Like
Yeah.
when I was learning handwriting, when I'm doing math, like whatever I was doing, it had to be right. And so it looks beautiful. And my handwriting, it's funny looking at it because it's it's still very neat. People compliment me on my handwriting all the time, and I joke and say like I have teacher handwriting because when I got to college and we were doing math proofs and we're trying
Mm,
to memorize them, we're writing them on the dry erase board with no lines. You write on there so much, you end up like you learn how to write without lines, and then it
yeah.
gets really neat. Um, but that was something that I had to work really hard on too, in terms of like unlearning some things from childhood, is that, everything done is better than perfect. And that definitely became
Mm.
a true statement once I started my business. Like there
Yep.
is no way there, there is no way
And
that
probably
that the
parenthood
perfection
too,
could be
right?
there. What'd you say?
And probably parenthood too,
At
right?
110%.
Yep.
Absolutely. But that is what you see. So yeah, it looks really good, and that is something that I've noticed working with young people because they're not spending as much time as we did writing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sixth graders don't write, a lot of sixth graders that I've worked with don't write like this
Interesting. I used to write
anymore.
so many notes as a kid, and I like
Yeah.
prided. Like I'm talking about, like, did I take notes for class? Maybe, but I'm talking about I wasn't a nerd like this. I was a nerd in a different way. I wrote a shit ton of notes for my friends, and I like prided myself on having like the cutest, most curated handwriting. So some things that I like recognize in this handwriting from like my own handwriting. First of all, it's very bubbly, very cute. The D's, like the tails of the D go beyond the the line. It's like a
They
big
sure do. I
like a
didn't notice
Disney D.
that.
Your lowercase e's, the line across the middle is at an angle.
Yeah.
And in some places it's a little sharp. I used to be very into like the sharp E instead of like
Yeah.
loop de loop, like E, and then you
Yeah.
go around. I relate to the dots, like the circles instead of a period. You got to in the exclamation points. Your 4.0 is got a dot in it too. Um, I think there was what. Oh, the other thing is your capital L's. Okay, so here's something about me. My name is Christina Lee Kahn, and so a big honking L is part of my signature.
Yeah.
So if I have worked very hard on my capital L's over the years, and I definitely remember having a phase of this L where it's not just like a perfect right angle math. It's like a the bottom line has got some oomph to it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And
I
my
relate
L's
Full
are
to that
so
one.
zest.
pretty. My L's are so pretty now. Like I love to write an L.
Me too.
I love a loop-de-loopy L.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
my
yeah,
Yes.
fave.
Leela.
Yeah,
Leela, two
I
L's.
I now have four L's in my name because I've got it's Leela, Claire, Hilton. There's a lot of L's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And a good H.
Yeah.
oh,
I love a little
true.
curly H. Mm-hmm.
Yes. If you're hitting the cursive, Leela, I'd like to see
Mm-hmm.
your signature sometime.
You don't need to. So yeah, this I have very bad handwriting. I've heard that is kind of an ADHD thing, or can be, but
It
I
can
have
be because my ex-husband had immaculate engineer's handwriting despite the
right.
ADHD.
We're different flavors of ADHD, he and
Yes,
I.
that's very true.
Yeah, no. I think for me it's always been like I have so many thoughts and so much to say that there's like no time to make it look perfect. I have to get it all down
Mm-hmm.
before I
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
forget.
Well, and like you said, Brittany, I feel like in adulthood, I at least have I don't care what my handwriting looks like anymore. Like it just looks like what it looks like, and it's like half cursive, half print. And I if I'm trying to write neat for a reason, I will. I usually like if I'm filling out a form, I go like block caps, for like
Yeah.
clarity. But like I'm never really thinking about my handwriting these days.
Or like like a birthday card maybe. I like try to pay a little bit more attention.
Even
Even
that,
then I
Mm.
feel like
I
I
think
feel like
maybe I
it's
think I
not.
send a lot more cards than you, Leela. So I've just let go.
Oh, okay,
I
fair.
do a lot of print cursive mixing.
Yeah, it's
Me
fun.
too.
And it's like, it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense because sometimes one makes more sense than the other one. I'm not going to pick up
True.
my pen.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then sometimes it does the cursive doesn't make sense. I'm like, what am I gonna do? A word that starts with a capital Q and make it look like a big old drunk two? Please
Yeah.
get out of
Oh,
here with that.
absolutely. The cursive Q should be illegal. That thing's out of
Oh
hand.
my gosh. You talking about the uppercase one?
Yep.
Yeah.
That thing is crazy.
I felt like that one gave me a lot of stress too, growing up.
It's secret math. It's a two.
Right, right, right.
So, Brittany, did you write? So, was this like kind of like the way you journaled? Did you write a lot of like prayer letters to God?
I did. I had my mom said that too when I found this one. She was like, "You wrote so many prayers as a child." And I also had a journal,
Okay,
which
so
was
it's
not which were
separate.
not prayers. Yeah, it was just like, and I don't
Interesting.
know where that is, but
You
yeah,
like to
I
reflect.
I loved writing in my journal. I loved writing prayers, and I liked writing poems and short stories too.
That's cool. Hey, we're gonna have to get you
Yeah.
back on the
I was
pod.
gonna say,
Gotta
sounds like
gotta have
lots
to
of
hunt down
content.
some of those. Yeah.
I gotta find everything. I'm like, my mom texted me last night, like, oh, there was another place I found that you could have looked for the original poem that I was going to submit for the
hmm
podcast. And I'm like, well, this one is pretty darn funny. So I think that that
It's
will
so
work.
sweet. Yeah.
um, something else that interests me in this piece is you say, please let my conversations be filled with gossip, not bad gossip. And that's a bit of a burn before reading like Hill That Will Die On is like
Because what does that mean?
it's a fine line. Like, we are very firmly in defense of gossip over here. And I think it helps that in adulthood, it's easier to like gossip in a way that is healthy and helpful and like communal instead of in a way that a sixth grade way that's like backstabby and shitty or like can get
Right.
that way, you know? But it is so funny the way that like, because I think that Leela and I both very much had this mentality as well when we were younger of like the duality of like wanting the gossip but not wanting to be seen as a gossip.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. Well, just because we've talked about, we have a whole episode on this, but we talk about how historically gossip is was really shunned as a reason to kind of silence women and take power away from women
By
who
the church.
by the church. So I was also taught, I was raised religiously as well, and I was also taught that like gossip is just downright a sin.
It's
And I'm like,
sinful,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
but like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times that's just how you converse with your friends and you just want to find out what everybody's up to. It's not necessarily like, oh my God, and you see the how fat she looked in that dress. Like it's not that's
Right.
not I think
Right.
Yeah,
that's not really even what it is. Definitely not
Yeah.
for us at least.
not these days. Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
on the flip side, sometimes not gossiping can be harmful, you know? Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's a real like especially in like in families or religions where gossiping is really suppressed and like bad things are happening and no one's allowed to talk about it, you
For
know?
sure.
It
Ooh, yeah.
facilitates those bad things continuing to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also don't feel like I've ever heard that term applied to a boy. Oh, he's such a gossip. Like,
Uh
and just
No.
thinking about
I
it.
think it's to me it feels girl or gay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if he's such a
But I mean,
gossip,
like,
I'm gonna make an
even
assumption about his
do we remember
sexuality.
Gossip Girl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A whole show called Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Man.
not gossip they, it's gossip girl.
Or Gossip Boy. They would
Yeah.
never greenlight
Gossip
a show
boy.
called
Gossip
Gossip
Okay,
Boy.
boy.
but wait, that sounds so much more interesting to me because it defies the stereotype.
I would watch
Right.
it.
I'd watch it.
And I'm
Gossip
cracking
boy.
up at how I italicized bad.
Yeah.
Bad. Yes,
Not
because it's hard to
bad.
italicize handwriting, but you did it very clearly. You did it
Yeah, you
well.
made it
You
work.
know, this was, I'm elder millennial. So this was right when we were starting to do things on the computer
Hmm.
and like the fact that you could make the letters like sway a little bit. I was
Yeah,
really enamored with that italics button for a while. So I had to do my own little spin on that.
of course.
Man, I'm a recruiter and I actually recruit, when you were talking about Detroit, I recruit a lot for around central Michigan and eastern
Oh,
Michigan too.
nice.
But I was reviewing somebody's resume today who the entire resume was in italics, the
Well,
Okay,
whole
that's a
resume.
lot.
weird. Why do
That
that?
was, it hurt my eyes, but they
Yeah. How
ended
many
up
pages
being,
was it?
it was 2.5.
Oh, no, no,
Not a
It's a
no.
half
bit
page.
much, but they ended up being really nice and they're working with kids with autism. It's fine. It's fine. But still, I think about that too because I was like, yeah, when I first found out I could go to town on Microsoft Word, let me tell you, I was bolding.
Yo,
I was using the most unhinged fonts. Like
yes,
you couldn't tell me
Wingdings!
anything.
Wingdings!
Wingdings. It's like,
that's
what's your name in Wingdings?
That's one of my biggest like okay, so I when I was a kid, I had a computer that because I was a writer, like when I was young and when computers were like not a thing, I had an in-room computer that was not allowed to connect to the internet. So that I could use it was a very large expensive word processor. So I had my own personal desk computer that I got to use to write only. It did nothing else. And I had for years and years and years saved locally on that computer because I didn't know how computers worked. I had all my life's work, so many stories and poems and all kinds of things. And then eventually, when that computer was getting ready to meet its maker, I put everything on a hard drive or I whatever. And now all of that work lives in Google Drive for this podcast. And at some point in that process, all of the original fonts had to disappear. And that makes me so sad because if I would never ever write in Times New Roman, ew, or
Gross. What are
Arial.
you, a nerd?
I would never do that, even though these days I find
Courier.
Oh,
Yeah.
Courier was that was a good one. It made me feel very professional. But it just like these days I would rather die than use a fancy font. I'm big times New Roman girl, but
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
some
don't be writing
really
in
font choices.
papyrus these days.
Oh my gosh. And Comic Sans
Um
MS.
Oh,
yes, we do write in papyrus these days. The fucking
why?
Avatar movie logos are in papyrus.
That's
Are
embarrassing.
I think
That's
they're I
embarrassing.
think they're like
really?
a custom papyrus, but it's papyrus.
You're like, I
Uh,
know papyrus when I see it.
Okay, hold on, we're gonna do
Okay.
James Cameron needs to
Avatar
get his shit
logo.
together because
With
that
all his money, he can't afford.
he's like,
Yes, it's a
I found a
it's
font one day and I said, why
oh
do
my
anything
god.
else?
Okay,
Why even switch it up?
the original 2009 Avatar film did use papyrus, and apparently
That's too late.
there's an SNL sketch with Ryan Gosling roasting that, which is so
That is
funny.
hilarious. That is hilarious.
Ryan Gosling's everywhere. Good for him.
Yes, that is so funny. Those were
Um,
the days.
Leela, did you have anything else you wanted to highlight about our dear God letter here?
I don't think so. I would say I also recognize the style of the smiley face. I think that smiley faces
Mm,
are you can tell what generation somebody is from based
Mm-hmm.
on how they do a smiley face. I think anyone now who a kid now would probably draw like an emoji version of a smiley face,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I definitely did like the three lines and a smile, like that was
Same.
mine for a
And it
long
was
time.
upright.
It's upright.
To the
It
side.
wasn't like the
Yes.
early day typed out
I was
smiley
gonna
face,
say
which was sideways.
now once T9 texting started happening for I would do like a winky face, like a sideways. I would
Yep.
draw like a
I would draw
sideways
it.
winky face,
Just like
for
drawing a
sure.
less than three, you know?
Instead of a heart. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's like, what are we doing here? But it's all very cute. It's really wholesome. I
Okay.
love how confident you
Frozen?
seem. What? Oh, am I frozen?
I
No,
was.
you were frozen
Okay.
for just a moment.
Oh, you're
Okay, I'm
back.
back.
Okay.
Leila,
Um,
go back to you love
You were
how
talking about
confident.
T9 texting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, just like when T9 texting came out, I would draw a physical winky face, like sideways, like with the semicolon and the parentheses. Um, and just like Tina was like, yeah, and like we would draw a less than three instead of
Yeah.
just drawing a
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Why? For what reason?
It's
I don't
cute
know.
because we were like, oh my god, the internet, this beautiful, cool new world to explore. I'm so fucking jaded
It
on
was
the internet
so
these days.
wonderful. And now we're like, burn it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
literally.
sure. Um, Brittany, did you have anything else you wanted to mention about your letter?
Um, Let me see. I feel like we unpacked like the really big themes that I was gathering reading this, knowing where I was in life.
I
Um,
actually do have a quick question.
yeah.
So you say, "Dear God, please let me start to have more interesting phone conversations." Were
Mm-hmm.
you having boring phone conversations? Were you not having a lot of phone conversations? It's interesting that it strikes me as kind of like grandma-ish, you know? You're like, "Ooh, I want to have a good phone call with my girlfriends."
That is an excellent question because I don't remember my mother ever being like, you can't talk on the phone. I just
Mhm.
don't remember having a lot of conversations on the phone before, or even being interested, like before middle school. So
Yeah.
I think I was just getting started. And then, this was also the age of the sneak three-way,
Oh,
right?
yep, as
The
Yeah.
original cyberbullying.
like in Mean Girls.
The
Yeah.
mean girls.
Yep.
Aren't you so mad that Gretchen called you? Mean Girls is one of my favorite movies.
Yep.
That's great.
Also love
We
that
must
Lindsay
be the
Lohan's
same
character
age.
was a math girly,
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
but
true.
true.
also we do know that she dumbed herself down for a little bit to try to get a boy to like her. So that's another thread, that we have to unpack.
And Tina
We
Fey
can be
said,
smart
"No,
and
you don't."
desirable,
Yes.
right? Um,
So stupid.
I know, right? But yeah, the sneak three-way, and I feel like I might have gotten caught up in one of those before, like where I was the
The
receiver of
victim.
the sneak
Mm.
three-way.
Oh no.
I don't remember how that ended, but like I said, I was teased quite a bit in middle school, so it was probably something along those lines.
Just feeling
So
joyful about developing
yeah,
relationships.
I
Yeah.
just really wanted to, and then it kind of all, I just thought about this. I probably need to do it again now that I'm a little older. I did the Strength Finders assessment. Are you all familiar with that? It's
Ooh,
like over there with
no.
like Myers-Briggs and the other
Okay.
one where people get letters. What is that one called? When people have like four letters.
Enneagram. Oh no, that one. There's Enneagram, and then there's Myers-Briggs, and then wait, Myers-Briggs is the four letters.
Yeah.
Is
That's
it?
like
Yeah.
ENFP,
Yeah, yeah,
FSJ,
that,
that
that,
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
So strengths finders, though, they have like a pool of I don't know how many different strengths. You take the test, you have five. So
Okay.
I only remember three of mine. My main one was empathy. So I didn't know that as a child that I was an empath, and I also learned that I was a HSP, highly sensitive person as a child. So this letter very much tracks with that.
Yes.
But another one, which I think this has changed now because I'm older and I'm a little more, I love people, but I'm much less of a people pleaser than I was.
Hmm.
But one of the other ones that I remember is woo. And woo is for strength, the way Strength Finders defines it is that you love to win people over and you love to
Uh,
like make people your friends
is
and
that
make
related?
people.
Got to be related to people pleasing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
They
like to
so they
woo
do it in the
people.
context of
Yeah.
like what careers will work well for you based on these types of
Oh.
strengths. And so I know that woo probably is not one of mine anymore because number one of the careers is sales. And when I have to do selling for my business, it is my least favorite activity.
Nightmare.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
like to convince people to purchase anything. Like I'm just like,
Just
can
do
the
it or
product
don't.
speak for itself? And like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
can you just let me know when you're ready for me to send the invoice? Like I do not enjoy that. Although I very much believe in my product and I get very passionate talking about it. I still don't like to convince people or like I know
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
that's a mindset thing, right? Because sales does not have to be again 90s kid, 80s kid like you think about like sleazy used car salesman trope
Yeah.
when you think about sales. I have since had to remove myself from that, particularly because now I am B2B. I sell to schools, districts, and after school programs. So I have
Yeah.
had to work on that mindset. But it's still not something that I love to do. I love to help kids feel better about math, but not in the
Yeah.
context of having to sell to their, their principals and their superintendents and that kind of thing. So it tracks though that is in here about wanting to have these conversations and that they go really well and that they're really smooth because I'm like trying to win friends. I'm trying to win people over and make people like me and all of these different things. So that also was coming up for me. And then I'm sitting here like, where did I get the term high level brain from?
Interesting. Your mom?
Thank you for
Question
the high level brain you've given, and I'm not even a nerd.
mark.
What is that called in ELA? Juxtaposition? What are we like?
Yeah.
Contradiction? Like what did we just do here?
Oh,
Um,
that's so funny.
I'm wondering where that language, again, I loved reading, right? So that's how we develop our vocabulary. I was a big Babysitters Club fan.
Oh,
I was a
Ooh.
same.
man. I thought about this the other day. I was like, do they have like an equivalent to Babysitters Club for adults? Because
Right? Mom's Club.
Mom's Club.
I
Babysitter's Club
need
is
something
so
like
iconic.
that. I was really big into Goosebumps.
Hmm.
Fear Street, Judy Blume, all of like these quintessential 90s authors and stories. And so, and again, I loved every week when we would do vocabulary words. Like it was my favorite thing because I used to listen to my mom talk on the phone and she would be using these really big words. And I remember sitting there like, I want to use big words like my mommy, one day. So when I look at this high level brain, I'm like, I either heard my mom saying that on a phone
Yeah.
call or I read that in a book. I don't even use that terminology anymore. So I'm just kind of cracking up that that is something I wrote in the sixth grade.
Yes, it is funny. Uh, uh, Definitely heard it and repeated it, or maybe you constructed it on your own and were like very proud of it, you know?
That could also that could
Hmm.
also be it. But
Um,
yes, this was a lot of fun to read, and I have no recollection of writing this at all.
Isn't that crazy?
And I'm looking at the date, it's been 30 years almost.
Ooh, what's the
1996.
wow.
wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to wrap up the episode, what we are going to do is something that we forgot to do at the top of the episode. Did you notice,
Oh.
Leela?
Yeah, I did, but it's
I
okay.
I totally didn't notice that we forgot to discuss what's been cringing us out lately because I was so wrapped up in our math conversation.
Yeah.
That's the Brittany
Okay.
effect.
It's the Brit that's the Brittany effect. Um, okay, well, I'll start with you, Christina, since we have a
Okay.
new guest. What has been cringing you out lately?
Um, have you guys heard of Barbie Dream Fest?
No?
Um,
No.
I'm gonna share. I need to share my screen. It
Okay.
was basically like the Fire Fest but of Barbie Dream.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I'm already sharing my screen. Hold on, I gotta stop sharing my screen. Oh, that ain't right.
Barbie Dream Fest?
Okay, hold on.
I was
Okay,
like, I need to Google this, but you're gonna show
no, I'm
me.
gonna
I'm
show
so
you guys.
curious.
It was like, are you able to see?
Yes, it's there
Yes.
we go.
So it's like it's like some well-meaning dad was assigned with like decking out his 4-year-old's birthday party. I haven't looked up any details. I've just been hearing people talk about it. It was a Barbie Dream Fest. It was a Barbie festival. It was hosted in this nightmare convention
Yeah,
center
that
with
looks
like
horrible in there.
Oh,
bare concrete flooring. It has like glaring overhead lighting. There's way too much empty space. It is definitely whatever the opposite of a dreamland is. Oh, there's girls on skates. That's cute, but it just it's look
where
at that.
was this?
I know no details.
I feel like
Let's see.
we need to know more.
Florida. Okay, well I feel like that
Oh,
might explain
Florida.
some
That
things.
explains it.
It's just like it just looks so sad. I really hope that the children who attended were like not affected. The
Yeah, it
balloons
is.
say the Barbie balloon arch has balloons inside of it that say Michaels from Michaels Arts and Crafts.
I see that might, and it's there's one right prominently
It's
on the right
prominent.
hand side. It's
Almost like
there.
it's sponsored, but it seems like an accident. So that's what's been cringing me out lately is that people are still letting event organizers get away with these like nightmare events that people get really excited for. They dress up, obviously, like they spend money to attend, and they are just not good. Here's a joke about the DashCon ball pit. Somebody's photoshopped it into a picture of Barbie Dream Fest.
Did you see where it says Barbie Nightmare Fest? You kind of skimmed, you kind of clicked on that one.
I should watch it.
It says Firefest Wonka experience
Yep.
level bad. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Fort
I know. I'm
Lauderdale.
so curious. Oh, Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale.
I love Fort
The
Lauderdale.
pinnacle of culture.
So that's what's been cringing me out lately. I really hope the kids in attendance had a good time, regardless, because kids
I
can
hope
have
so.
fun despite just against all odds sometimes.
That's true. That's true.
um,
Uh,
Leela, what's been cringing you out lately?
okay, so and early on in this podcast, most of my cringes were me accidentally hurting myself. I'm an extremely uncoordinated and clumsy person. Um,
Not anymore.
in a way that's not cute. Well, it was not anymore because I went to physical therapy because with my job I was able to get like a year of free physical therapy. So I was like, yes, personal training,
Nice.
get me balanced, and I really got my life together. But now I'm pregnant and my body I'm only like 17 weeks pregnant, but my body's already changed so much and I feel like I am so clumsy. This has got to be the worst time to get clumsy again. It's like, hey, you're growing a child inside you right at the front. Why don't you fall down everywhere? So everyone in my life is terrified all the time because I keep tripping and the collective gasp is it's annoying, but I understand why.
Bitch,
Well,
you're
for
annoying.
example, I
Don't fall
know,
on your
but
baby.
well, like I was at something. I was at a family thing, and I with my ADHD, something I've done since I was a little girl. I like to lay up. I like to hang upside down, like when I'm on the couch. It just like I don't know why. It just feels good to me, and I did that. but I forgot it was like a real recliner chair. And so the chair kind of like went forward and I almost fell out. And everybody in
Oh
my
no.
entire, it would have been 3 inches on the ground, but everyone in the entire house screamed. So it's just like annoying and embarrassing. And this past weekend, me and Christina and our friend Haley were coming back to Christina's apartment to watch a couple movies, and I tripped up the stairs and hurt my little knee.
Thank
The
God it
baby
was
is
your
fine.
knee.
It's fine. It's just my knee. It's not the baby. So it's fine. But that's that's what's cringing me out these days because I,
Yourself.
it's myself. It's myself and my own lack of balance. So I need to figure out some good balance exercises that I can get back into doing, maybe.
Well, just based
Christina,
on
do we need to get her like a bubble, a little bubble
yes,
for the baby, a
a baby
little
bubble would help. Leela, I
a
also think
wearer?
Yeah.
just based on how you fell down when you were at my house, maybe don't wear skirts that go all the way to the floor. You're only 5 feet
Okay,
tall.
you're right. They're so comfy though. But yeah, going up, wearing very long skirts and
You
walking
need to stop.
upstairs is tough.
Yeah,
Okay, you're
she
right. You're
must be
right.
stopped.
She must be stopped. Brittany, what's been cringing you out lately?
Well, what has been cringing me out? So I am a very big reality star TV
Ooh,
junkie.
okay.
I love lots of different reality shows, and I just wrapped the latest season of Love is Blind, Ohio.
Okay.
And what
Ohio.
is
Okay.
yes, and what is cringing me out is that I'm starting to notice, or maybe I'm not starting, maybe I'm just starting to like internalize that this is what's
Mm,
happening. They continue to pick people who are not emotionally or like mentally or any of those things ready to be married. Like stop
Yeah.
playing with people. Y'all keep choosing folks for good TV,
yeah.
Yes.
and then there this season only one, well, two couples, right? I think two couples got married. Only one couple is still married, and I think there were like six or seven proposals. And this is becoming a
Wow.
thing because the previous seasons, the last few seasons, it has just been cringe. It's been like a cluster. And I'm like, stop picking these people who need therapy,
Yeah.
not marriage.
It's for TV. It's not for marriage. It's for TV, and it's just
Yeah.
like so gross.
It is great. I mean, and I don't know if you recently, that's all me and Tina can, it's all I can talk or think about at least, is the America's Next Top Model Netflix docu-series that just came out.
Oh, yeah. I
It
saw it.
that's given me a lot to think about. And there's a really amazing podcast that we're obsessed with as well called The Curse of America's Next Top Model. That
Mm,
even goes way more in. They were able to get more models and actually like interview them.
Hmm.
And there's so much you
hmm
find out about what reality TV does. Like they hire a psychologist to
To do the
analyze the
opposite.
girls and make sure, in quotes, that they don't have any, mental health problems that would make them unable to be on the show, which is very interesting when you think about America's Next Top Model and all of the candidates that are on there that come from like really traumatic backgrounds and
For
Yeah,
sure.
abuse and drug issues.
they're
You
curated to
know,
be that way.
they are. It's because it makes better TV, and I hate that that's right,
Yeah.
I
but it
know. And
is.
it is the duality of the human experience and the human existence. Because even like with Love is Blind, I was texting my friend, like, I don't think you should go on this show. I don't think you should sign up if you have a type.
Yeah, like that's not
Don't go
because
on there.
that's the opposite of what the whole
Yeah.
like thesis statement of the show is.
Yeah.
Like
It's true.
Why
it's
are
like,
you on
well,
here?
I
But
miss
yeah.
how it was in the pods. Well, yeah, because you didn't know what I looked like yet. Like, okay.
So you're right though with Top Model. I was so I was so sad watching that because I was when
Yeah.
Top Model, and I was obsessed with Top Model when it was
Oh,
out.
me too.
I believe I'm blanking on what years those were. I think I was like in my late teens, maybe
Hmm.
early 20s. And like we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just didn't know. But I will say that I have been tickled by some of the reels that have been spoofing.
Yeah, me
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh, those have been good.
You said you almost froze to death in a freezer when you were 8 years old. Let's do a shoot. with you
Yeah.
stand.
Stuck in a
It's like
walk-in
three
freezer.
three
Yeah.
degrees below zero in like Alaska. Let's do a
Oh my
shoot.
God.
It's
So
like,
crazy.
okay, it's funny, but like that was not right to do those
Yeah,
girls like that at
no.
that time.
Yes, the
No.
spoofs are funny. The real trauma's not funny.
Correct.
Yes, but
Yeah.
we gotta laugh to keep from crying, you know?
For
That's what I
sure.
gotta say.
Well, a little extra
Absolutely.
cringe here at the end of the pod, and end with a cringe. That's what we always say.
I love that.
Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your letter with us. It was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to remind everybody, because this is not something new. It's a thing just because you're a human. I want to remind people that if you are a person, then you are a math person.
I love that.
Wow.
We contain
Those are my
multitudes.
parting words.
And where can people find you on the internet if they want to learn more about your work or maybe look into your kits?
Absolutely. So I have a few different places you can find me. I am on Instagram, Facebook. I'm somewhat on TikTok, but I'm there. I do have a page on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at either Black Girl MATHgic, and that is math, MATHGIC. On TikTok, Black Girl MATHgic, but I had to condense some of the letters. So I think if you
Mm-hmm.
just type it in, it'll pop up. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at math equals me, which is you just write out you don't use the actual equal sign, you
Right.
spell
I
out the
don't think it
word
would let you do
equals.
that.
Math equals me. So my websites
Awesome.
are blackgirlmathgic.com and mathequalsme.com.
Amazing.
Okay.
And all of that is linked in the show notes. Awesome. Well, that's it for Burn Before Reading.
Until next week, remember,
Your cringe is part of you.
but only a small part of you.
Aww.
Thanks for listening to Burn Before Reading.
Created by me, Christina Kahn.
Hosted and produced by Christina Kahn and me, Leela Hilton.
Logo designed by Michael Hardison. Follow him on Instagram at RoyGBivRVA or check out his work at wildlingpress.com.
Theme music by Sakura Wishes.
Find me online at tbr.tinabereading on Instagram.
Find me at Leels for Reels on Instagram.
Join us on Patreon for access to our Discord server, monthly bonus episodes, and other fun stuff.
Find video recordings of most of our episodes on YouTube at Burn Before Reading. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Burn Before Pod or email us at burnbeforepod@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, friends.
See you next time.